Episode 49. The Girl Who Never Existed. The name does not return any results. That is the first thing Arun notices. Not no recent results. Not account deactivated. Nothing. The search bar clears itself as if the letters were never typed. He tries again, slower this time. Mira. Enter. The same result. Blank. Arun sits back in his chair, fingers hovering above the keyboard. A familiar pressure forming behind his eyes. Not sharp. Not alarming. Just present enough to suggest attention. That's impossible, he says aloud. Though there is no one to hear him, Mira existed. He knows this with a certainty that does not feel emotional. It feels structural, like knowing gravity works even if you cannot explain how. She lived in the apartment 2 floors above his for almost 3 years. They shared the same stairwell, the same power cuts, the same monsoon leaks that turned the corner of the hallway into a shallow river every July. He remembers her because of small things. The way she tied her hair when she was thinking. The fact that she never used the elevator. The way she laughed once, sharply, when the lights went out mid-conversation. These are not the kinds of details the mind invents. He opens his contacts. Scrolls. Nothing. He checks his message history. Threads that should contain her name stop abruptly months ago. Conversations truncating themselves into harmless logistics. Their emotional weight evaporated. His pulse quickens. He searches his email. No messages. No attachments. No shared files. The absence is comprehensive. Too comprehensive. Arun stands and walks to the window, grounding himself in the view of the street below. Vendors setting up stalls. Buses exhaling black smoke. The city continuing without pause. 3:07, nothing happens. The minute passes normally. That makes this worse. He grabs his jacket and heads upstairs. The stairwell smells the same. Dust and damp concrete. A flickering light on the second landing that has never been fixed. Mira's floor. He stops in front of her door. Or what should be her door. The number plate reads 3B. He is certain it was 3C. He checks the adjacent doors. 3A, 3B, 3D. There is no 3C. His stomach drops. No, he whispers. He knocks anyway. Nothing. The door is locked, paint smooth and untouched, as if it has never been opened more than a few times a year. A neighbor steps out of 3D, grocery bags in hand. Excuse me, Arun says quickly. The woman who lived here. In 3C. The neighbor frowns. There's no 3C. There was. Arun insists. Mira. She lived alone. The neighbor's expression tightens. Not confused. Cautious. I've lived here 8 years, she says. That unit's always been storage. Arun laughs once, a short, brittle sound. No. I helped her carry a table upstairs. The neighbor shakes her head. You must be thinking of another building. She steps past him and disappears down the stairs. Arun stands alone in the hallway. The pressure behind his eyes deepens slightly. He does not feel threatened. He feels corrected. He goes back to his apartment and opens an old shoebox from the back of his closet. The kind of place memory stores objects it does not trust the world with. Inside are ticket stubs, receipts, a cracked phone charger, and a photograph. He pulls it out carefully. It is a group photo taken on the building's rooftop during a power outage. Lantern light casting uneven shadows. People smiling awkwardly at the camera. Mira stands near the edge of the frame, half-turned, mid-laugh. He knows it is her because of the way she holds herself, weight shifted onto one foot, arms loose at her sides. Except the photo is wrong. Where she should be, there is empty space. Not blurred. Not cropped. Just space. The people on either side stand closer together than they should, bodies angled unnaturally, as if accommodating an absence they no longer remember adjusting for. Arun's hands shake. He checks the date stamp. 2 years ago. He remembers that night clearly. The blackout. The shared drinks. Mira complaining about mosquitoes. The memory is intact. The evidence is not. His phone vibrates. A notification clears itself. He did not read it in time to see what it was. The pressure tightens. Arun understands now. This is not a missing person. This is a missing existence. He sits on the floor, photo clutched in his hand, breathing slowly. He tells himself to think carefully. Time does not erase without reason. Mira must have caused instability. She must have been load-bearing in a way the system could not tolerate. And he is interfering by remembering her. He opens his laptop again and searches public records. Voter lists, rental agreements, hospital admissions, school records. Nothing. The name returns no history. It is as if the letters themselves are rejected by the system. He tries variations. Initials, nicknames, maiden names he invents. Still nothing. The pressure behind his eyes pulses once, sharper than before. Warning. Arun pushes through it. He remembers something else. A notebook. Mira used to write everything down. Lists, fragments, thoughts she never explained. He remembers because she once complained about forgetting things that mattered. He goes back upstairs and stands in front of the locked door again. This time he notices the gap beneath it. He crouches and peers inside. The apartment is empty, not abandoned, never occupied. Bare concrete floor, white walls without marks. No fixtures beyond the minimum. No dust, no signs of life. Arun's throat tightens. He presses his palm against the door. The pressure spikes sharply now, like a hand closing around his skull. He gasps and pulls back. At 3:07, the minute does not pass cleanly. Sound thins. The hallway stretches unnaturally, walls receding by fractions that make his vision swim. He hears something then. Not a voice. A sensation. Resistance. Reality pushing back. Okay, he whispers. Okay. He retreats downstairs, heart pounding, and sits on his bed, clutching the photograph. He understands the stakes now. Searching for Mira is not neutral. Every act of remembrance is a form of interference. Time has not just removed her. It is defending the removal. He looks at the photo again. The empty space feels heavier now, as if it is actively displacing attention. He realizes what the gain will be. Proof. If he can find something time missed, something it failed to erase completely, he can confirm Mira existed. But the cost will not be small. Reality does not tolerate ontological contradictions. He opens the shoebox again and digs deeper. At the bottom, folded carefully, is a scrap of paper. Not a note, a receipt, faded ink, coffee, 2 cups, one name partially visible. His breath catches. The pressure surges violently, slamming into place behind his eyes. The room tilts. He has found proof, and reality is already beginning to respond. The receipt does not want to exist. Arun learns this immediately when the ink begins to fade while he is still holding it. Not dramatically, not all at once. Letters thin first, then spaces widen, as if the paper is forgetting what it was supposed to record. He grips it harder. The pressure behind his eyes surges, sharp enough to blur the edges of the room. His heartbeat becomes audible in his ears, not from fear but from strain, like his body is bracing against an invisible force. Stop, he whispers, not to time, to himself. He places the receipt on the desk and steps back. The fading slows, not because the system has relented, because he has paused the contradiction. Arun understands now. Reality is not erasing Mira retroactively because of the search. It erased her already. What it is doing now is protecting the edit. The receipt is not evidence. It is a fault line. Every second it remains legible, the system has to compensate elsewhere. Arun opens his phone and takes a photograph. The camera freezes. The screen flickers, then displays an error message he has never seen before. File unsupported. He tries again. The phone restarts. When it powers back on, the receipt is gone. Not from the desk. From the room. The space it occupied is clean, as if nothing was ever placed there. Arun's stomach drops. He did not drop it. He did not move it. Reality removed it mid-observation. The pressure behind his eyes eases slightly. A warning acknowledged. He sits down slowly, hands trembling. This is escalation, not of threat, of enforcement. He realizes something else. Then, with chilling clarity, the system is not targeting him because he remembers Mira. It is targeting him because he is attempting to anchor her. Memory alone is tolerated. Proof is not. Arun does not stop. He cannot. The shape of Mira's absence has already reorganized his thinking. He can no longer move through the building without feeling the negative space where she should be. The edit has created a gravity well, pulling his attention toward it no matter how he tries to look away. He returns to the stairwell. As he climbs, he notices something new. The building sounds wrong. Footsteps echo too long. The hum of electricity lags behind the lights turning on. Small delays accumulate, not enough to alarm anyone else, but enough to tell him the structure itself is compensating. He reaches the third floor. The door marked 3B is ajar. It was locked before. He hesitates. The pressure behind his eyes tightens again. Not violent but insistent, like a hand resting on the back of his neck. This is your last warning, the sensation seems to say. Arun pushes the door open. The room is still empty, but now it feels unfinished. The walls are the same bare white, but their angles feel slightly wrong, as if drawn by someone working from memory rather than observation. The corners do not meet cleanly. The floor slopes imperceptibly toward the center of the room. Time has not just removed a tenant. It has removed the room's purpose. Arun steps inside. The pressure spikes. His vision blurs at the edges. He tastes metal. He crouches near the center of the room and presses his palm against the floor. It is warm, not from sunlight, from use. His hand tingles, nerves firing in recognition of something his mind cannot retrieve. "This is where you stood," he murmurs. The floor does not respond. The building does. A low vibration hums through the concrete, too subtle to be heard but strong enough to be felt in his teeth. Arun staggers backward and exits the room. The door closes behind him on its own. At 3:07, the minute fractures. Not fully, just enough. Sound thins. The hallway stretches. The stairwell elongates by a fraction that makes his balance falter. He grips the railing and breathes through it. When the minute passes, the building stabilizes. Arun understands the rule now. Ontological debt does not behave like memory debt or bodily debt. It is not paid in pieces. It is paid in existence. And someone has to disappear to reconcile the contradiction. He returns to his apartment and opens his laptop. He stops searching for Mira. Instead, he searches for himself. Public records, employment history, rental agreements, social media presence. Everything looks normal. For now, he scrolls through old photos again, focusing not on Mira but on the spaces around her absence. Something has changed. The photos feel heavier, not emotionally, structurally, as if the pixels themselves are under tension. He zooms in on one image, the rooftop, the lantern light, the empty space where Mira should be. The image glitches briefly. A shape appears, not a face, an outline, a distortion in the air shaped like a person. The photo snaps back to normal. Arun gasps. The pressure slams into place behind his eyes, violent now. He drops the laptop, clutching his head as pain detonates across his skull. This is the cost. He has crossed the threshold from remembering to restoring. Not intentionally, but functionally. Reality cannot allow that. When the pain recedes, something else is gone. He stands slowly and looks around his apartment. The bookshelf looks unfamiliar. One of the plants is missing. Not dead. Not removed. Never there. He checks the corner where it used to sit. Empty. He searches his phone for photos of it. Nothing. A memory loosens in his mind, then slides away before he can grasp it. His chest tightens. The edit has begun to propagate. Not outward. Inward. Arun sits heavily on the bed. He understands the exchange now. Proof of Mira's existence requires equivalent removal elsewhere. Reality cannot tolerate surplus being. If she is allowed back into existence, even partially, something else must be erased to compensate. And the nearest candidate is him. At 3:07, the pressure returns. This time, it does not threaten. Presents an option. Not in words, in sensation. The pressure stabilizes when he stops thinking about Mira. It intensifies when he remembers details. Her laugh, her handwriting, the way she leaned against the stair railing when tired. Each memory sharpens the pain. Each surrender dulls it. Arun makes a choice without ceremony. He opens a blank document and begins typing everything he remembers. Not to preserve it, to transfer it, to create a container that is not his mind. The pressure spikes immediately. The screen flickers. Letters disappear as fast as he types them. He pushes harder, types faster. His nose begins to bleed. The document corrupts itself, text rearranging into unreadable symbols. Then the laptop shuts down. Silence floods the room. Arun laughs weakly. Of course, external anchors are not permitted. He is the only remaining container, and containers have limits. The pressure eases again when he stops trying. His nose stops bleeding. The system has recalibrated. He looks at the mirror across the room. His reflection wavers for a fraction of a second, like an unstable signal. Fear finally arrives. Not of death, of erasure. He understands the final rule. The more proof he accumulates, the less of himself remains to hold it. Mira will not come back. The cost is too high. Reality has already decided which existence is expendable. At 3:07, the silence settles permanently. Arun closes his eyes and releases the last intact image of Mira he has been holding onto. Her face dissolves gently, like a reflection disturbed by water. The pressure withdraws completely. When he opens his eyes, the room feels stable again. The building hums normally. The edit is complete. Arun checks the shoebox. The photograph is gone. Not replaced by empty space. Not replaced at all. The shoebox contains only things that make sense. He sits quietly, breathing evenly. Something has been lost. Not a person. Contradiction. He knows, with dull certainty, that he will no longer search for Mira. Not because he chose to stop, because the impulse has been removed. The system has protected itself. Ontological debt has been settled. The girl who never existed has been erased completely, including the part of Arun that could remember her. At 3:07, the world moves on, and nothing is missing anymore.